Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Deputy Secretary Beaudreau, thank you for testifying today. We've spoken before about the mega drought that's affecting the Colorado River. We're facing the worst hydrological conditions in perhaps over 1,000 years. And the department and the 7 basin states have some tough choices ahead, as you know. And all parties, need to work together, on this to figure out the conservation and the augmentation of water on the river. The infrastructure law provides unprecedented resources for this. $8.3 billion for Western water infrastructure and aquatic ecosystem restoration. The department should be forward-leaning in using this funding for drought resiliency in the Colorado River Basin. The infrastructure bill was signed into law about 1 year ago. So does the department have enough staffing so that funding for things like the Water Smart grants, for aging infrastructure projects, for water recycling and desal are quickly deployable in the Colorado River Basin?
As with BLM, with the Bureau of Reclamation, staffing is an issue. In order to implement these funding opportunities through the Bureau of Reclamation, we are focused on bringing on board about 400 new staff into reclamation. To date, we've brought on about a quarter of that. And so not where we want to be, but for all the reasons you described, one of our priorities is having the staff available to implement.
What's the timeline for the additional 300 staff members?
So it's taking us, the past year to bring on about a quarter of it. We think we have, the positions described and the structure for it that I'm hopeful we can substantially close the gap in the coming year.
Any particular area that's more hard to find individuals?
As you know, given the technical challenges around this and the specialties of the Bureau of Reclamation, finding qualified engineers and folks who understand the hydrology is a challenge.
Yeah. All right. Another question about the Glen Canyon Dam. Actually, Grand Canyon and Glen Canyon Dam. So Grand Canyon National Park, as you know, is not isolated from the effects of this drought. And I understand the Department of Interior operates a collaborative science-based program to protect native fish species and natural beaches in the Grand Canyon. It involves releasing water from Lake Powell using the bypass tubes of Glen Canyon Dam. And that program is a challenging balancing act because the water is needed for storage and hydropower generation. But that water is also needed to protect the ecosystem of the Grand Canyon. We secured funding for aquatic ecosystem mitigation, including $50 million specifically for this Grand Canyon program. So is the department planning to implement high-flow experiments this year? And is the infrastructure law funding available for protecting the Grand Canyon and mitigating the impacts of those releases?
So we have, as you said at the very outset, we have very difficult decisions in front of us in the coming year that are going to be largely dictated by the hydrology. And so Bureau of Reclamation and the department has not predetermined any use at this point, including high flow experiments. That said, for all the reasons you described, the ecosystem within the Grand Canyon is an important priority for the department. And so part of the conversation that we're going to be taking into CRUA later this week is how to have a sustainable system that generates power, provides water necessary for a host of services, including agriculture, but also can sustain ecosystems, including in the Grand Canyon.
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr.